Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasul al-Kareem. Wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, we've returned to the text ul-Masir Fi Ilm it-Tafsir, and we had previously reached ayah 32 in Surah Al-Furqan, the 25th surah. Now the Imam is going to be taking us to our next portion, which is going to be ayah 33 and onwards. The Imam, rahimahullah, he starts by saying, Ibn Al-Jawzi, quote, and so Allah had mentioned, when the unbelievers asked why the Quran was not sent down in one dispensation. By one dispensation, we mean by that the same way in which the Torah, the Injil, and the Zabur were sent down. Because Allah had said in the Quran that He sent it down in stages. And when the unbelievers asked why it was sent down in stages rather than in one dispensation, it was so that He might strengthen the hearts of the people with insight, and specifically to illuminate the heart of the Prophet ﷺ, because in every new matter and situation he received the revelation, and this also gave the other people the light that was needed so that they might reflect on that which they received. Then Allah the Exalted says, وَلَا يَأْتُونَكَ بِمَثَلٍ إِلَّا جِئْنَاكَ بِالْحَقِّ وَأَحْسَنَ تَفْسِيرًا الَّذِينَ يُحْشَرُونَ عَلَى وُجُوهِهِمْ إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ أولئك شر مكانا وأضل سبيلا ولقد آتينا موسى الكتاب وجعلنا معه أخاه هارون وزيرا فقلنا اذهبا إلى القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فدمرناهم تدميرا وقوم نوح لما كذبوا الرسل فأغرقناهم وجعلناهم للناس آية وأعتدنا للظالمين عذابا أليما وعادا وثمود وأصحاب الرس وقرونا بين ذلك كثيرا وكلا ضربنا له الأمثال وكلا تبرنا تتبيرا ولقد أتوا على القرية التي أمطرت مطر السوء أفلم يكونوا يرونها بل كانوا لا يرجون نشورا وإذا رأوك إن يتخذونك إلا هزوا أهذا الذي بعث الله رسولا إن كاد ليضلنا عن آلهتنا لولا أن صبرنا عليها وَسَوْفَ يَعْلَمُونَ حِينَ يَرَوْنَ الْعَذَابَ مَنْ أَضَلُّ سَبِيلًا أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ أَفَأَنْتَ تَكُونُ عَلَيْهِ وَكِيلًا. And they do not come to you with any example, except that we have brought it to you in truth and the best understanding of that which is to be. Those who they shall be gathered on that day on their faces towards the great fire, these will have the worst place of abode and the most terrible pathway to take. We had already given Musa the book, and we made with him his brother Harun as an assistant to him. And we said, both of you go to the people who deny of our signs. And we destroyed those people utterly. And as well were the people of Nuh. When they denied the messengers, we drowned them. And we made them to be a sign for humanity. We had already prepared for the oppressors a terrible punishment. And then also call to mind Ad and Thamud and the people of Al-Ras and all the nations between that, which were many indeed. And all of them we gave examples, and all of them turned away. Already they had come to the city in which had rained down on it an end that was evil for them. Didn't they see the truth? But indeed, they did not hope at all for the resurrection to come. When they look at you, they take you to be a joke or a sport and play, and they say, is this the one who Allah has sent as a messenger? It's almost as if they tried to lead us astray. This one, he could have almost led us astray from our gods, had we not been patient for our idols. They will surely come to know, when they see the punishment, who is the most astray. Haven't you seen the one who took his desires as his God? Indeed, are you to be the trustee over them when they are responsible for themselves? Surah Al-Furqan, the 25th surah, ayat 33 to 43. The Exalted One said, they do not come to you, meaning the idol worshippers don't come to you, with any example in the way that they debate, except that we bring with it that which is the truth to refute their false claims, and the best explanation. And the best explanation is that He, Allah, He clarifies matters. And He informs them of their eternal home in the hereafter, as Muqatil said, when He, Allah, said, those who they shall be gathered on their faces. And that is on account of the fact that the unbelievers of Mecca, they said, indeed, Muhammad and his companions are the worst of the creation of Allah. Look at their state. So Allah sent down this ayah. Allah said, these people shall have the most evil home and most terrible standpoint, much worse than the believers. And He, Allah, said, and already we gave Musa the book, and we made his brother Harun to be with him, a sincere advisor and helper. And we said to them, both of you go to the people who denied our signs. Now, if it's said, why is it that this ayah and these ayat are making reference to the presence of revelation? How can the people deny revelation before Musa and Harun came to them? Now keep this in mind. Someone will say, Allah says in this ayah, both of you go to the people who have denied of our signs. But how could they have denied of the signs before revelation has come unto them? The answer to this question is that they had already beforehand denied the prophets of Allah before them and the books that had come down from beforehand. And whoever denies one prophet, then he's denied all the rest of them. So it's because of this reason you should understand when Allah says, and the people of Nuh, when they denied the messengers. Now, Nabiyyuna Nuh alayhi salam was the only messenger to had come unto them. But because they denied him, it was the same as if they had denied all messengers. As Zajjaj has said, so it is permissible that when someone is looking at the situation, they understand that Nabiyyuna Nuh alayhi salam is being referred to by himself, but the plural is being used. Now the plural is being intended for respect, and in addition to that, it's also being intended in the fact that all messengers are covered, because to deny one messenger is the same as denying all of them. We've already mentioned this in Surah Hud, ayah 59, as well as Surah Al-A'raf, the 7th Surah, ayah 137. Then Allah mentions the Ashab al-Ras. Now the Ashab al-Ras, there are three things that are mentioned about the Ashab al-Ras. One is that there was a large well where they used to live, and it was called Al-Ras. This was discussed by Ibn Abbas as well as Ikrimah, who mentioned that this well is in Azerbaijan. However, Ibn as-Sa'ib said the well is most likely near Al-Yamama. As-Sudai had said it is a well in Antioch. So this first statement includes three people discussing. Ikrimah saying it was in Azerbaijan, a well. Ibn as-Sa'ib saying it's in Al-Yamama. And As-Sudai saying that it is in Antioch. The second statement regarding Al-Ras is that not only is it a well, but it's also a village that later grew into a city. Now it has been said by Qatada that Ar-Ras grew into a successful kingdom that stretched to Al-Yamama. However, the third statement regarding Ar-Ras is that it also includes Al-Ma'din, which is not far from Al-Yamama. This was discussed by Abu Ubaidah and Ibn Qutaybah. Now we've been asked, why is Ar-Ras? We know that it's referring to a well in a city that expanded out and became much larger. But why is it called Ar-Ras? There are two reasons why this civilization was referred to as Ar-Ras. One is that the Ar-Ras people tossed their prophet into the well. So the Ar-Ras people tossed their prophet into the well, as was mentioned by Ikrimah and Az-Zajjaj. It's also referring to the fact that the people of Ras were merchants, and that whoever was in the mercantile trade was called a Ras. This was mentioned by Ibn Qutaybah. Now, people have differed in regards to the identity of the companions of Al-Ras, meaning, where did they come from? Whose children are they? Were they Arabs or not? Or another nation? Who were these people? Now, some have said that the Arras were a people that worshipped a tree, and Allah sent a prophet to them. That prophet that Allah sent to the Arras people was an Israelite. His father's name was Yahuda, the son of Yaqub, the prophet, alayhi salam. So this prophet, the son of Yahuda, the son of the prophet Yaqub, alayhi salam, they dug a well for him and threw him in that well. They dug a well for him and threw him into that well. And then Allah destroyed them. This is a narration from Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salam. It's also been said that the name of this prophet was Hanzala ibn Safwan. Hanzala ibn Safwan. This is the statement of Sa'id ibn Jubayr. These people that had dug this well before that time, they were worshipping idols. And Allah had sent to them prophets. Some people say that the first prophet that was sent to them was Nabiyuna Shu'aib alayhi salam. But they refused him. So Allah sent another. And when they denied that, their houses were swallowed up and destroyed. This was said by Wahab ibn Munabbih. Now the Ashab al-Ras, they're the same people that killed a man by the name of Habib al-Najjar. Habib al-Najjar. They killed him. And threw him into the well. Habib al-Najjar, who they killed, he had said to them in Surah Yasin, Ya qawm ittabi'ul mursaleen, my people, follow the messengers. Surah Yasin, the 36th Surah, ayat 20. This was mentioned by As-Sudai. But not only did the people of Ar-Ras kill their prophet, but they even ate some of him as well. The first people to indulge in magic from the Ashab al-Ras were their women. This was mentioned by Ibn Sa'ib. Allah the Exalted says that between our destroying them were many generations indeed, meaning between Ad and the people of Ar-Ras were many, many generations. Now we've already defined the word Qarn in Surah An'am, 6th Surah Ayah 6, so there's no need to discuss it again. But in these narratives about the prophets is a threat towards the Quraysh. And Allah said, and we gave every example to them, meaning Allah gave them every excuse and admonition and establishing the proof. Yet they turned away, calling down destruction upon themselves. And Allah said, the unbelievers of the Quraysh, they once came to a city, a city that had been rained down upon with destruction. That city was the ruined city of Lut, which had been overturned and destroyed. The Quraysh had seen this city, some of them. It's in truth, haven't they seen this city? Of course they did. When they traveled, they saw it. But when they were informed of that which they saw, they denied it. So even though they saw the destroyed city of Nabiyana Lut alayhi salam, they still don't fear the resurrection? They still don't have any hope and believe that there will be an end time in which people will be rewarded with good and punished for wickedness? This is the statement of the scholars of commentary and Az-Zajjaj. And the unbelievers, they don't see you, meaning the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, except as someone worthy of being made fun of and mocked and scorned, saying, is this the one that Allah sent as a messenger? Oh, he nearly led us astray from our gods. Oh, how fortunate we are that we were patient in our worship of them. But Allah said, they will come to know when they see the great punishment in the hereafter, who is more astray, who's fallen astray, who's gone off the right path. They'll come to know. And their ignorance is astonishing. to the point to where even their own Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was shocked and dismayed at their ignorance. And he, Allah, said, "Have you not seen the one who takes his own base desire as his God?" Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, "This is the case for one of them who worshipped the stone. And when he saw something better than the stone, he threw away that stone and then worshipped something else. So he takes his own desire as a God." Qatada said, "The unbeliever is the one, in this case, who he doesn't desire anything except he runs towards it. He has no patience. He follows his desire, leaves the truth, and because of that, his desire is like a God to him." And he, Allah, asks, "Is it then you," meaning the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "are to be a trustee over them?" Meaning, can you preserve them, protect them from those who will try to lead them astray, or if they're already astray? Now, someone by the name of Al-Kalbi claims that this ayah is abrogated by Surah At-Tawbah, the 9th Surah, ayah 5, but this has not been established unequivocally. He, Allah the Exalted, then says, "Am tahsabu anna aktharahum yasma'una aw ya'qilun in hum illa kal-an'am bal hum adallu sabila alam tara ila rabbika kayfa madda adh-dhilla walau sha'a لجعله ساكنا ثم جعلنا الشمس عليه دليلا ثم قبضناه إلينا قبضا يسيرا وهو الذي جعل لكم الليل لباسا والنوم سباتا وجعل النهار نشورا وهو الذي أرسل الرياح بشرا بين يدي رحمته وأنزلنا من السماء ماء طهورا لنحيي به بلدة ميتا ونسقيه مما خلقنا أنعاما وأناسيا كثيرا ولقد صرفناه بينهم ليذكروا فأبى أكثر الناس إلا كفورا ولو شئنا لبعثنا في كل قرية نذيرا فلا تطع الكافرين وجاهدهم به جهادا كبيرا وهو الذي مرج البحرين هذا عذب فرات وهذا ملح أجاج وجعل بينهما برزخا وحجرا محجورا وهو الذي خلق من الماء بشرا فجعله نسبا وصهرا وكان ربك قديرا ويعبدون من دون الله ما لا ينفعهم ولا يضرهم وكان الكافر على ربه ظهيرا. Or do the people at that point believe that most of them hear or reflect? It's not the case except that such a people are like cattle. In fact, they're more astray. Don't you look to your Lord how he spreads out the shadow. If he willed, he could have made the shadow stand still. Then he could have made the sun as a proof over it. Then we shall certainly take all of you to us in one moment. He is the one who made for you the night to be at peace in, and the day to move around in. And he made the day as a time to seek plenty. He is the one who sent the winds to give a glad tidings of his mercy. And we sent from the sky water that is purifying, so that we might reveal and give life to a land that was dead, and give drink to it from that which we've created, of the cattle and all other matter of fair indeed. Already we have discharged it from among them, so that they might remember, but most people abstain and are ungrateful. If we had willed, we could have sent in every single city a warner. So do not obey the unbelieving people, but strive against them with a great jihad. He is the one who let loose the two seas, one of them gushing forth and sweet tasting, but another one salty and brackish. And he made between them a barrier that shall not be transgressed. He is the one who created from water the human being. He made him to have lineage through blood ties and through marriage. And your Lord has power over all things. And they worship from besides Allah what cannot benefit them nor harm them. The unbeliever is indeed rivaling and rising up and rebelling against his Lord. Surah Al-Furqan, the 25th surah, ayat 44 to 55. Close quote. Inshallah, we'll stop here and break for Salat al-Maghrib. And when we come back, we will go through the Imam's commentary on these ayat, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم استغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم يرحم الراحمين. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وبعد. We're picking up from ayah 44, where the Imam left off at for us. He says, quote, the statement of Allah, where he said, do they believe that most of them here, meaning the people of Mecca, because it is in the form of tahsabu, in which this particular fi'l is mu'annith, and it's referring to the fact of the people of Mecca, which is a mu'annith form, and the intent is, do they think that those that they are speaking to can hear or figure at all their entreaties, or that they reflect, meaning the evidences and the proofs, do they reflect on them? No, in actuality, they are like the cattle. Now, one of the reasons why these unbelievers that cannot hear and the idols that they follow are dumb, like the cattle, the example being made of them is that cattle, they hear the voice, but do not understand the words. Another reason is because these people don't do anything but eat and drink, and they have no higher aspirations in life other than those celebratory functions. Then the Exalted One says, but they are even more astray, because the beasts of the earth that eat and drink and do other things have a higher calling and carry out their obligations in the earth. And they also, in addition to that, accept authority and hierarchies from one another and look for and can trace out signs. And those that are in charge among them, because of virtue and goodness, they choose them and exalt them over each other. This is the opposite of those who reject faith, which are worse than these beasts. The Exalted One said, Do you not look at the action of your Lord? Meaning, don't you know? So it's speaking about the heart and the inner knowledge of that. Don't you know how he spreads out the shadow? So here Allah the Exalted discusses the shadow, how he spreads it out from the time of Fajr and then up until the rising of the sun, where the shadows increase greatly and then they decrease. And this decrease carries on until Dhuhr, and then the increase begins again. He, Allah, then says, had he willed, he could have made the shadow still, meaning established in its place and never go away. Then he, Allah, says, we made the sun as an evidence over it. The sun is an evidence on the shadow, because had it not been for the sun, we'd have no shadows. Just as that, the light is how we know the difference between darkness. So all things are known by their opposites. Light by darkness, darkness by light, that which is large by that which is small, and so forth. He, Allah, then says that the shadow is taken away in an instant and it's returned in an instant. As mentioned by Ibn Abbas and Mujahid in their commentaries. So when the sun rises, the shadows come and they're taken away. They spread little by little. At the sunset, the shadows move into their places until everything is enveloped with darkness, little by little. He is the one who made for you the night as a libasa, which is, libas is obviously clothing, but in this instance, the word libas means a covering, because it's being covered in darkness, because the darkness makes individuals mutually indistinguishable. Just like clothing on an individual makes it impossible to see the pigmentation under the clothing and its nakedness. And he, Allah, says, and he made the night a subata. Subata, Ibn Qutaybah says, it means a time of rest, because subata comes from the same root where the day Saturday comes from, Yom Sabt. So he made it a time of Sabbath, which is a rest. Because, remember, all of creation was completed on Friday, Yom al-Jum'ah. And you should even know that the creation itself, whether they're in wickedness or righteousness, the highest point comes on Friday. And after that, the rest and recovery from Friday, for some, comes on Saturday. He, Allah the Exalted, said to say to the children of Israel, you are to rest on this day, do no work at all. And because of this, it's known as Yom Sabt, the Sabbath day, meaning the day of rest. And the root meaning of Sabat is to spread out, to come to cease, to cease to be in action, to cut off. So the night has been made a cutoff point for your actions because you're resting. So it is a Sabbath, a Sabbath for your action. He, Allah, then says, and we made the day a nushura, a bringing to be for you, a resurrection, a spreading out. Because nushura means to spread out, but nushura is also one of the words used for resurrection. So when you spread out in the earth, seeking your sustenance, as Ibn Abbas says, it also means the soul is enlivened by being awakened from its sleep, just as people will be enlivened when they're resurrected. As said by Al-Mawardi. He is the one who sent the winds out. Now we've already discussed ayat like this in Surah Al-Araf, the 7th Surah 57, up until the statement, and we sent from the sky water that is tahur. Now this water that is tahur, purifying, has been sent down in the form of rain and other things. Al-Azhari says, tahur in a language means pure in and of itself and capable of purifying other things. And tahur is something that you do purification with, like wudu. So tahur is the only water you can use to purify yourself with, and it is the same water that is used to give liveliness to a land that is dead. And this was recited by Abu al-Mutawakkil, Abu al-Jawzi, and Abu Ja'far as mayyita, with a shadda on the ya, whereas Zajjaj says the expression baldah is mu'annath. So balda and balad have the same meaning, land, and so mayta is matching with the expression because balda is mu'annath and mayta, although it is in the mudhakkir form, it matches because both balda and balad essentially can be used in the same way. But the reason why mayta is mudhakkir is because it's referring to not the word balda itself, but the fact that the word balda symbolizes makan, which is place. We've already discussed this before in Surah Al-Araf, the 7th Surah 57. And when He, Allah, says, and we give it drink, Surah Al-Hijr, the 15th Surah 24, it means that He, Allah, gives the land drink from the rain. Abu Majlis, Abu Raja, Al-Dahhak, and Al-A'mash, and Ibn Abi Abla recited as وَنُسْقِيَهُ. وَنُسْقِيَهُ. As far as the others, they recite it slightly differently, but both are valid. As for what Allah the Exalted said, that He gives forth that which we've created, the cattle, and He, Allah, uses the expression anasi. This anasi is the jama', it is the plural of insi, is the plural of insi. So He, Allah, has given the sustenance for the cattle and all other animals. And He sufficed by distributing out the rain among them, meaning on a dead land. He distributed rain that causes vegetation, that feeds the cattle, that feeds beasts of prey, so that they might reflect on the favors of Allah upon them. And so those that witness this might praise Allah. Hamza and Al-Kasai recite this ayah, لِيَذْكُرُوا, whereas the others say, لِيَذَّكَّرُوا. Allah then says about the response of the unbelievers, but they abstain. And most people are ungrateful. They say, oh, our rain is on account of this lucky thing. It rained because of bad luck or because of good luck. Or, oh, curse that rain. When in actuality, they deny the favor of Allah. If we willed, we could have sent a warner in every single city. By this, Allah said, had we willed, we could have sent you personally to every single city to increase your rank. But the message will go out without you having to be in every city. So do not obey the wretched unbelieving people. So don't obey the unbelievers of Mecca who might call you to the religion of their ancestors. But fight against them. وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ. Strive against them, bihi, with it, meaning the Quran. Make jihad against them with the Quran, a great jihad indeed. Then, He, Allah the Exalted, says, He is the one who sent forth two seas. As Zajjaj has said, by this, Allah is showing that two types of water have been sent forward. The scholars of commentary say, He has sent forth the two seas that aren't meant to mingle. The salty is not meant to mingle with the sweet, nor the sweet with the salty. And He, Allah, says, and this, meaning one of the seas, is sweet and wholesome and fit for consumption and drinking. While the other is salty and brackish and bitter. So He, Allah, is the one who's brought these things to be. And the barrier between them, the hajjis. There are two statements regarding the hajjis. The barrier that's been put where the two seas don't mix, the salty and the sweet. One is that the barrier is from the power of Allah. He has commanded them not to mix one with another. And this is the understanding of the vast majority. As the Zajjaj said, so although you'll see these seas next to each other, by the power of Allah, they do not mix together to the point to where one overwhelms and destroys the other. So one has fresh water and one has seawater. Abu Sulaiman al-Dimashqi says, you'll see at times water from the dark waters of Al-Basra go over to the sweet waters of Dajla. And they come close to each other and are even touching. But they're not mixing because of the buoyancy of the salty water over the other one. One is very green and sparkling. One is sort of a blue with lightish red tint. One is sweet tasting while one is salty. Second understanding of this ayah is that the barrier referred to is the land and dryness that separates the two waters. And this is a good statement as well. However, the first one is the most dominant opinion. And this is the ruling that's understood. And the barrier means that one doesn't gain dominance over the other to its complete destruction. Close quote. Now what this should establish in your mind is some of the slaves of Allah have been saying that this ayah in the Quran refers to the fact of surface tension and that the two barriers of water, they never mix and everything else. That's not what the vast majority of scholars understand. They have two understandings of this ayah. The first is that they don't mix by the power of Allah, meaning that the salt water stays salty and fresh water stays fresh, so that we'll be able to consume these water sources in terms of the fresh water. Because if fresh water is overwhelmed by salty water, then we have nothing to drink. Because excessive amounts of salty water can dehydrate you and also kill you at some point. In addition to that, the salty water is from the oceans Fresh water is your streams and your rivers and your things such as this. Right? The second thing is, and Imam Al-Jawzi rahimahullah says a good statement, but the first one is the most important. But the second statement is that they don't mix in the sense that these bodies of water will meet, but they don't completely intersperse with each other. So if you go from Egypt and look to follow the source of the Nile, you'll find the Blue Nile and the White Nile. And where the waters come to a juncture, they don't intermingle, because one is consistently saltier than the other one, and one is more brackish and bitter than the other one. Now, why that is, I don't know the reasons for it, but people have been up and down the Nile, and they've noticed this phenomenon all the way down into Ethiopia, where these bodies of water should mix, but whatever reason they don't. The same thing you'll see when the Columbia River empties out into the ocean. When I was going to a university in Oregon, we'd sometimes go to the Columbia River for a break. You go to the Columbia River, and you can see the difference between the ocean water and the Columbia River's water. And although they're met, the ocean water of the Pacific Ocean and the Columbia River water, they meet. Fortunately for us who drink from the Columbia River water, we are able to still drink the sweet tasting water. It might need to be treated, but we're able to drink the water of the Columbia River. And this is what we should take from this. There's people that have gone way too far into this ayah and read way too much into it, which has also led to scientists coming out and saying, oh, look, this is an error in the Quran, because people have gone way too far into this ayah, other than sticking with the basic premise that's here, that Allah has made a barrier between fresh and salt water, and that we consume the fresh water, and that the salt water is brackish, that the salt and fresh water don't mix exactly, because of the fact that if one takes over another one, then we have nothing left, right? And if fresh water takes over everything else, then that ends the life that lasts in salt water, because we depend on eating creatures from salt water just like we depend on eating creatures from fresh water. We require both types of water, so it's necessary that they don't exactly mix. Just like you have certain types of animals that share the same habitat, but they never run across each other, because if they did, they would destroy each other and their mutual habitat. So we need these animals to stay jealously separate from each other. We just need them to do that. And they do it. And it's not because by luck. It's not because they met a long time ago and they made this decision. It is because this is the structure that's been put in place for these animals. Now the Imam rahimahullah, he then brings us to the next point. He says, quote, and he, Allah, said, he's the one who made the human being from water. The water in this case is referring to the sperm that comes as a result of ejaculation, and not ocean water. And then he, Allah, says, and he made him to have lineage by way of blood and by way of marriage. Meaning, according to the statement of Ali, alayhi salam, nasab, lineage here means those who it is not permitted to marry them. So this means blood relations. And sihr here means by marriage, meaning those who it is permitted to marry. Ad-Dahhak says, those by lineage who it is impermissible to marry are of 7 degrees. And this has already been discussed in Surah An-Nisa, ayat 23 from beforehand. And those who are permitted to marry, and those who we may marry, although they've come into the family through marriage, are of 5 degrees. And this is offered in Surah An-Nisa, the 4th Surah, ayat 23 as well. Tawus, the student of Ibn Abbas, has said, one of the types of marriage has already been discussed, but another type of sihr, a connection through marriage, sometimes comes through breastfeeding. Ibn Qutaybah has also said that the lineage means close lineage by blood, and the other type of close lineage by marriage meaning the linking that comes through marriage. So all these things are connected. Those that become connected through marriage are people such as the in-laws, male or female. All these things are important because they show the linkage. Now those who are married and come into the family by marriage are clarified as sihra, and those who are related by lineage, by blood, are referred to as nasab. And then Allah says, and the unbeliever is indeed rebellious to his Lord. One reason for this is listening to the shaitan and going against his Lord by worshipping idols and cooperating with the shaitan. Also, it's because he assists the unbelievers against those who believe Allah is one. He also fights against those who are the allies and friends of Allah, his Lord. The unbeliever is rebellious, but shall be humiliated. And so the unbeliever here in specifics being referred to is Abu Jahl, who is the archetype of every rebellious unbeliever who rebels against his Lord. And he, Allah, the Exalted One, has spoken the truth in this regard. And they asked the Prophet ﷺ to bring forward his signs, but Allah says that he's given him the signs. He's given him the Quran to proclaim the revelation and countless miracles. So let them take away to their Lord, although they reject. Close quote. So the Imam rahimahullah discusses then after discussing different types of water, he also discusses the creation from water here. It's not talking about human beings being created from water, that the ocean water, because the subject of the water came before. Someone might think, well, it's talking about the ocean or river water. No, the water in that reference is the water that's coming from the ejaculate, because all creatures after Nabiyuna Adam alayhi salam are necessarily the result of sperm. And then he made them nasaba, he made them lineage, well, sihara, through marriage. So people are family. People are usra. In Arabic, you have different types of things. The one unit you have in Arabic is known as the usra. The usra in Arabic means a man, wives, and his children. That's the usra. And that's nasab. Man, wives, children. That's the nasab. The other thing that comes about, your qurabat and your other things, that comes about through the fact of the man marrying the woman and her family coming into his family and his family coming into their family. That's the sihra. Then when the children, they have children, they get married, they have blood that comes in, and then they are married, that also comes in. So you have things that are coming into families. The sihra are those relatives that are related to you by marriage. Some cousins you have are because of blood. Some cousins are by marriage. But they're all part of the usra, which is the family unit structure. So the family unit structure is composed of two things. The usra is composed of the nasab, and the usra is composed of the sihra, which Allah mentions in this ayah. He says, and he made him, meaning the human being, to have nasab, blood relatives, sihra, and relatives through marriage. So you have relatives through that marriage, even though they might not necessarily be your blood. An example would be if you marry someone from a totally different nation, totally different culture. They're not your blood, but they've become your family because they've married in. So they're your family. Now the rulings on them being your mahram or not, that's a different issue, but they've become part of your unit because they've married in. So Allah says He's given this to every human being. And then after this, He then mentions, right after all these blessings, He mentions that the unbelievers, they worship things besides Allah that can't help them or harm them. So it should be understood by us then that if Allah's given us all this goodness, He's given us water that's fresh, He's given us salty water to make use of, Then he's given us marriages that continue the lineage through blood and through marriage. So then why would you worship other than Allah? That's ungratefulness. And then Allah gives the last example that the unbeliever is to his Lord rebellious. And the ayah specifically is referring to Abu Jahl, but Abu Jahl is the archetype of every rebellious unbeliever. So it's a common statement to be said in some of the books of Tafsir and others, he's like Abu Jahl. It doesn't necessarily mean he looks like Abu Jahl, but it means his deeds, his actions. He's rebellious. He's arrogant to the knowledge. He knows better and he still fights against it. It doesn't mean that the person necessarily is linked to Abu Jahl physically, but it means that the archetype of who Abu Jahl is, his behavior, his attitude, how he rebels against the truth, how some people, they know that other people want to come into the truth and they intimidate those other people to scare them, to stop them from coming in. Or they know that other people are interested or have questions, so what they will do is they will lie and say things about the other person or say, oh, no, don't go listen to that person. Right? So they try to control and contain that person. And that's a sign of a deep, diseased heart. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says those people have not all, they have diseased hearts. Right? So we stop here, having reached ayah 55, having gone forward from there. And inshallah, if Allah preserves us, we have the 2 pages of Surah Al-Furqan left, the ending portions. Now, is there any question over what we've covered today? Any question? Yes, brother.
When you said that all humans are made from water after Adam alayhi salam, is that somewhere we're made from clay? Is that just Adam alayhi salam?
That's just Nabi Adam alayhi salam. He's the only one that's made from clay. So the question was, all human beings after Nabi Adam alayhi salam are made from the water that is coming from the sperm, the connection between human beings from sexual reproduction. What about the case of Nabi Adam alayhi salam? Well, as we know, he and Hawa alayhim salam are made from the clay, and all of the human beings that come after have come about through what is known as sexual reproduction. Yes?
I heard a narration, I'm not sure how true it is, but wherever we pass away, where we're buried, the dirt from there is what was used for us to be made.
The question is regarding a statement made that wherever someone dies and is buried, that is the dirt from which they were created from. That is the clay and dirt which they've come from. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. I don't know the definite answer to that question. I can say that people of different nations know that they're from the same clay. So people that are from a certain area, if the clay is arid and it's hard, those people are harsh and they're brash. And if the clay is that they're made from is cold and clumpy and distant, that those people will be the same way, because that's their natural behavior. And then there are things that are linked with how people are made, because you have the 4 humors, whether people are choleric, phlegmic, there's the 4 humors. I can say that, but I'd need to research on the question of the people that are buried, that's definitely clay. I could say that the narration of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Imam Suyuti's collection, that the grave becomes part of your akhirah, that either becomes part of the grave fire where you're going to go, or it becomes part of wherever you're going into the paradise. That's true, but I need to research the other one. Are there other questions? Yes.
The Ashab al-Ras, are they from the Bani Israel?
The question is, are the Ashab al-Ras from Bani Israel? The Ashab al-Ras, the people themselves, Allah knows best, but the prophet, one of the prophets that came unto them was from Yahuda, the son of Nabiyyuna Yaqub alayhi salam. But whether their identity is that they were Israelites or not, I don't know.
And second question, Isa alayhi salam, does he also fit into the same category as Adam alayhi salam, or is he also made from
Okay, the question is regarding Nabiyyuna Isa alayhi salam, whether he fits in the same classification as Nabiyyuna Adam alayhi salam. Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Yes and no. And the reason for that is because Nabiyyuna Isa alayhi salam, although he's not the result of normal sexual reproduction, his mother is. And so he inherits that material. Now this brings in an issue because Nabiyyuna Isa alayhi salam is from the children of Israel from his mother's side, but they're not his people in the sense of his linkage to them. So when you look in the Quran, all the prophets, especially Surah Al-Saf, Nabiyyuna Musa alayhi salam says, Ya qawmi, my people, lima tu'dhunani, why do you oppress me and put me to harm? You look in Surah Al-A'raf, it's the same thing, Ya qawmi, Ya qawmi. But when Nabiyyuna Isa alayhi salam goes to children of Israel, he says, Ya bani Israel, O children of Israel. He doesn't say my people. Because from his father, because qawm is who your people are from your father's side. Those are your aba'akum. Those are your paternal ancestors. So he doesn't say Ya qawmi because he doesn't have paternal ancestors from them. He says Ya bani Israel because his mother's an Israelite, but his father, he doesn't have a father. Right? So yes, he is, but on the same point, no, he's not. Well, yeah. Final question? No? Okay, so we break from here. We say Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk innahu ghafurur rahim arhamir rahimin wa la ilaha illa Allah wassalamu alaykum.